Hey, Hoff, why don't you start the movie? And the movie has started. Let's see if it stays. We've actually had a bit of a glitch in having our streaming services work, but that is what you get for recording the weekend after Thanksgiving. Everybody's shopping, so huzzah. Welcome to Obscure Chatter. I am your host, Terri Doty. Let me see. I guess I should let people that might be new to the show know what's going on. I am watching something that you don't know what I'm watching. Today I'm watching a movie, but sometimes I watch just an episode of something I enjoy when I have a guest on, which is kind of a rarity now because COVID is still very much a thing and remote recording is still very much not ideal for really good flow and conversation. If it's a guest, it's one of their top 5 things that they would show someone that's getting to know them. But you've been getting to know me for about 3 years now. I want to say closer to 4. So, hello, welcome. And if you aren't new here, thank you for continuing to listen to Obscure Chatter. You guys made the Halloween episode an absolute joy. For those of you that listened and gave me some great feedback and some constructive feedback. And to those that participated, both actors and listeners of the show. It was a really great episode. And it had been a while for Stephen and I to kind of do a Halloween special. If you are a former That Anime Show listener, you know that Tatum and myself, as well as Stephen, would sometimes kind of go a little insane with what we did. We even had a fake kind of Vincent Price character host a couple of episodes while Tatum and I, quote unquote, went missing, or I think there was an episode where we pretended that we died. Yeah, no, like the very end of the episode is like Tatum and I not even sure if we're dead, but yeah, so it had been a minute, and it was definitely a shorter episode than I initially planned, but life got a little weird in October, I'm not gonna lie. And so I'm not entirely sure if I want to get into it just yet. So I want to know, please let me know via social. And when I mean social, I mean that in the broadest sense, because I know a lot of us are going through a transition when it comes to social media apps and what we prefer. But you can find me on Twitter until the ship sinks. I'm also on Hive Social, getting used to that. Instagram, TikTok, Mastodon, Discord, Carrier Pigeon, Raven, all of the things. T-Dotally is how you can find me. You can also search me by name, and I've got a decent link tree on most of those that will help you out. But my gosh, guys, with that, I guess I've been a member of Twitter since 2011, and it's kind of been my preferred thing. It's where I put in a lot of my jokes. It's a short little blog thing for me. I stopped blogging for a while. I actually think I'm going to take that up again. So please keep a lookout for that as I update my site. I'm working with 2 amazing individuals on updating the website. But I don't know. Yeah, Twitter has definitely been a different vibe. By no means perfect. These past couple of years have been quite interesting. I'd say the past 5, I had to beef up blocking. At one point, it was like almost 80,000 blocks. And then I did kind of like turning over a new leaf. And then within about 3 months, my blocks went from like 800 after I did some cleansing to, from 80,000 to like 800. And then in about 3 months, it went back up to 17,000. So Twitter's fun. Let's go with fun. But yeah, definitely noticed an influx of weird tags. I don't know about you guys, but yes, if you follow me on social medias, please let me know how your Thanksgiving went. Some of you already have, and a lot of you were really kind to, give me a shout out. Thanksgiving, as someone who is in her late 30s and doesn't have kids and is estranged, is a really quiet, chill affair. And I'm not going to lie, it's pretty great. This year was my father-in-law's first year in an assisted living facility where Ed, for an 88-year-old, 88, Stephen? Yeah, wow. Oh, okay. For an 88-year-old, Ed's actually incredibly active, but, once he started living alone after Judy, his wife, and my mother-in-law, Stephen's mom, that's how that all works. After Judy passed, Ed lived alone for a while, and, he lived kind of far. So Stephen and I finally found a really cool place within 5 minutes from us. That is just an active living center. It's a bunch of older people. They do activities every day. He gave us a tour yesterday. They have a puzzle room. They have a beauty salon. They have a workout room. They have a place where they do yoga and classes. They even do church there. And they have all their meals in this little cafeteria thing. And it's right near their hospital, which is always a big plus for your loved ones. But the facility was like, hey, if you are having family, just visit you and you don't feel like cooking all day, we'd be happy to cook for you as well as, your relatives. So we took them up on that, and it was the least stressful Thanksgiving in a long, long time. Everybody kept coming up to Stephen and I and being like, by the way, Ed is great. We love Ed. And we're like, thank God. I think Ed's pretty popular there. He's one of the older guys there. And, I just think, we met Ed's new best friend. And so that was really fun. Did kind of get a couple of awkward moments where oh, right. But I'll be nice and not mention those on air. At least right now. But there were a couple moments where, you kind of look at your significant other or your bestie, like in one of those really messed up situations where someone says something and it just hits your brain in such a way you're like, wow. And I just locked eyes with Stephen, and then it's oh hey, so Stephen and I, or Terri and I we should go soon. But no, it was actually a really cool meal, very chill. They fed us. It was like a little cafeteria style thing where everybody got little portions. They had sugar-free options and all these things, and everybody kind of knew each other. Oh, Ed, you can't have that piece of pie. You can have that. That's sugar-free for you. And I've never had ambrosia salad before, and I gotta say, I guess I did kind of think of it as an old person snack, but not a fan. It was very citrusy and very milky, which just makes you think you're eating old milk. To me. I don't know. If someone loves ambrosia salad, please let me know. Maybe I had not a great first experience with it. But no, the holiday went really well. Afterward, we came home. It's been very cloudy and a little rainy here in Texas, or in the Dallas-Fort Worth area of Texas. So we just hung out, watched Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, which is one of my favorite movies, and kind of a staple in Thanksgiving. At least in this house. I mean, it's John Candy and Steve Martin, two of my favorite actors. Anytime I hear John Candy's laugh, I'm always smiling. But, it went really, really well. Like I said, I don't really talk to any other member of my family, and, talk to, other friends this week, that said basically, if they didn't have kids, they probably wouldn't be doing a lot either. And I'm like, I can see that. I remember Thanksgiving being kind of a bigger deal as a child, mostly because it meant you got time off of school. Oh, random thing that I do want to know online, or just however you guys want to tell me. I remember only getting Wednesday, Thursday, Friday off. But other friends with kids are all talking about how their kids have the full week off. What's up with that? Like, it was Christmas that you got like 2 weeks, but I don't know. I don't know what's going on. But yeah, it was interesting to also kind of talk to some former coworkers over the holiday weekend. And I say former, I know I've mentioned it a few times over this last year. For those of you who don't know, I started a senior copywriter job in January of this year. And that meant I kind of had to, I was contractually obligated to not take other work, which if you follow my voice work, I still definitely did that. But don't tell anyone. Thanks, that'll be a secret between you and me. But it didn't interfere with work, so therefore I justified it that way. But it was kind of one of those, like, other people work on other stuff, blah, 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 blah. But yeah, it was for an advertising agency. What happened was I was basically headhunted by a really reputable firm in the area that was working with an advertising agency to place people for jobs. And this fit pretty well. It meant that I would have younger writers working under me that I could help coach and help dialogue and working in live video commerce, specifically for one very big client. And I actually love the job. I'm like, okay, yeah, no, this seems to be like the right thing. The next lily pad, as I say, jumping from one lily pad to the next. That's really what life is. And I will say, I don't know, looking back on myself this time last year, I don't want to fully say, or perhaps just admit to being a little, I don't know, I wouldn't say like bored or tired. I think I honestly, truly got a bit complacent about the work. I was consistently working in voiceover as well as writing, pretty consistently. I don't know what it was. I honestly think it was kind of like the same reason that I nuked all my social media except for Twitter for a while. And then I went, oh my God, I wish I hadn't done that, because that was actually the way I kept up with friends that lived out of state or lived out of the country, or that was just their preferred thing. And I just nuked it all because I was going through a bad patch or something. And I wouldn't say that I was going through a bad patch this time last year. I think this job opportunity just kind of made me question the longevity of it. It's that thing as a creative that you constantly kind of get pushed up against, which is, are you going to keep doing what you love and monetarily not having a lot to show for it? Or are you going to sacrifice a bit of what truly makes you happy in order to get further along financially? And for the longest time, I always felt that I was able to justify my decisions more. Oh no, it's, I know I'm not making a lot of money, but, and da-da-da-da-da-da, but, so when I was given the number of what they were going to offer me, it was 6 figures. It was 6 figures comfortably without including benefits and health insurance, which I've talked a lot about on the show. So I put it in my head. I'm like, oh my God, my dude makes a consistent paycheck to where me as an actor, director, writer, VO coach, I struggle a bit some months. I do. I could consistently help add more to our savings, to our 401k. And I know it's not said that way, just so we're clear. But I don't know. It just really got in my head that I'm like, I could really contribute financially. And it's still, the way that I justified it was and it's still writing. It's still being fun. And I like the guy that interviewed me. And over the 10 months that I worked there, I worked with him a lot. And we kind of became friends. And I made a lot of great friendships and connections there. But it was around July where I could kind of just feel this really big shift. And I ignored it. But then it got to the point where I was basically, I hate to admit this, but I've admitted to some pretty insane shit on this show, so why should this be any different? I was crying every day. Like, every day. I gained, in the 10 months I was there, I want to say I gained at least 20 pounds. I'm already a thick girl. I've always been a thick girl, but I didn't realize it till I went to like my my annual physical, and I was like, oh my God, this time last year I weighed myself and holy shit. Stephen and I stopped making food together, really, and that's a big thing that we love doing together. We only really like bought food. I was always tired. I also initially took the job because I was allowed to stay remote. As a writer, you kind of need to be alone a lot. And then it became you need to be in the office 3 days a week. But we kept getting weekly emails about potential COVID cases. So-and-so came in without, telling us they were positive, or so-and-so didn't know. When I came back from Vegas, I got COVID, and they're like, okay, so like they gave me a lot of shit about staying home for 2 weeks. I was very sick and positive for 2+ weeks, and they needed proof that I wasn't lying. But I still turned in my stuff on time. There were points where I had 104 fever and I could not actually talk, but I still turned my script in on time. I got the flu while I was working there, and I still turned my shit in on time. And another person's script who did not turn in their script, I wrote their script in like 2 days and made myself get the flu, essentially. But I got it turned in when I said I could get it turned in. But I noticed that anytime kind of brought up like, hey, so, don't really like the way you're handling COVID. And, over the last 3 years, we've gotten a lot of protocols. Like SAG has very interesting protocols that I think are very helpful. So I actually was like, hey, here's what SAG's doing. Maybe you could kind of use this as a blueprint to firm up blah, blah, blah. They didn't even open the documents. And I don't know. I just didn't like the way they handled that. So that was a big red flag. That should have been a much bigger deal much sooner. I just started seeing I was getting less and less creativity, getting more and more work. It's that thing I always kind of attribute whenever you've shown someone that you don't respect your like whole ass. The Andy Dufresne-ness is the second the prison and the warden saw how important Andy was to future successes. They literally kill a guy. Sorry, spoiler alert if you've never seen Shawshank. Kill a guy to keep Andy in prison. So it felt like oh my God, they see how fast I write, and they see how clever I am, how quick I am to take a note, all of these things. And I'm just getting more work, and getting more and more unhappy. And I think there's just a point where I kept kind of making excuses for it, and then bringing up the money and there are even numerous episodes of this show this year where I'm like, I'm so glad that I don't have to worry anymore, all this stuff. And, it just all finally got to a point where I fucked up on something majorly, and the way it was handled, like, made me feel as though I'd murdered someone. I take notes and I take critique, but the way this one particular thing that I cannot talk about was handled was really fucky. And so I spent the whole day kind of in limbo because one of my higher ups basically said, people have been fired for less. And I was supposed to get like an assignment that day, and I never got it. And I was also supposed to hear from my higher up about what decision they were going to make, like what they're talking about and what I'm talking about. It was something very, very minor that I basically thought was okay, and it should have been, but somebody else didn't. And a lot of people got their feelings hurt. Oh my God, that makes it sound so much worse than it actually is. I posted something that I shouldn't have on social media, and a lot of people got upset. And so I took it down, but yeah, that's what it is. That's the most I think I can say, right, Stephen? Probably. Yeah. Okay. So it took it down. It's fine. But, it was very much like well, you should know better. I'm like, well, I've posted dumber shit from here, but, yeah. Okay. I'll bite. Yeah. I probably should have checked. So might be. But also arguing like, I've signed many an NDA. This didn't fall under NDA. This actually fell under this. But again, I understand. So blah. But that's where the whole like people have been fired for less. I'm like, okay. And, I was immediately, cause our company does like Slacks and all that. I was immediately taken off of a couple of Slack channels, which I'm like, all right. And nobody was really talking to me. I reached out to friends in other departments. I'm like, hey, so like I did this and I kind of see why like there might be some kind of repercussions, but like, what do you think? And they're like, oh, wow, this, making friends in other departments are like, it's fine. You're fine. But I never heard that from a higher up. And that just kind of didn't sit right with me. I'm like, hey, let's do the consequences or whatever. But what it was is they actually just never brought it up again. But the never brought it up again was still days of me going, am I about to get fired? So it was a whole like that. It happened on the morning of a Friday, the repercussions. Or hey, take this down and da-da-da-da-da, take it down now. And don't need to tell you how bad this is. Okay, fine. So, I actually spent like the whole day in limbo, and then talking to my partner in life, being like, all right, this is not the way that this should have been handled. And talking to like friends in HR and other like in other companies that are just friends, explaining the situation and they're like, if you've posted this, and they're like scrolling through my Instagram and shit, they're like, if you've posted this and they had a problem with this, that's weird. And I'm like, okay, thank you. But, again, I'm like, so, do you think I'll get fired over this? They're like, no. But I gotta say, a couple of people very much were like, would it be the worst thing if you left? Because the past few times we've hung out, you've been a little intense. What do you mean? And other friends alluded to it too, where, basically everyone that's hung out with me has kind of been like, you just look so tired and you look so mad all the time. And that's not very typical for you. So Stephen and I just kept talking about it. I'm like, do I need to care this much about a job that I no longer have the creative license I used to? That I see people in other departments constantly leaving that have been here a lot less time than me. That at one point there was an opportunity for a promotion, and someone else was given that promotion, which I'm like, I looked at their, resume and their body of work. I'm like, okay, it makes sense that they were promoted. But then I was essentially demoted and not given writers to help out anymore. I was essentially another writer, which, I don't know. I seriously don't know. But this is all before the thing, the incident, as I call it. But there was just a moment where, like, I really don't know what I'm going to do. I want to think about it over the weekend. And I was getting my hair done on that Saturday. And, it's a hairstylist that's been doing my hair for like 8 years, at least 7 years. But she's the one that dyes my hair green. And we were just talking, and she also does Stephen's hair. And I just kind of I was talking about, well, I'm still doing voiceover and I'm turning down other work. And I do get offered other opportunities all the time. And there is another opportunity that it's like, hey, you remember this thing from a couple of years ago that we kind of mentioned in the abstract? This is a friend with another company. I went, yeah. They're like, well, that's happening. So if you were available, that would be cool. And all of these kind of things just started building up. And I'm like, I am definitely putting in my 2 weeks Monday. And I wasn't planning on it. From the last episode of the regular episode of Obscure Chatter, I was not planning on quitting. I was definitely I was sending out my application to other places. But on October 10th, I talked to my immediate supervisor and said, I'm giving my notice. And I was like, I'm willing to stay into the end of October because the person, like I had mentioned, the person that was now my higher up was essentially the person that got the promotion that I was possibly being considered for too. And so they were still really new to the job. And they're like, okay. That's cool. Well, I really don't know what to do about this. So after a little bit after the conversation, they're like, no, 2 weeks is fine. Your last day will be October 21st. And another higher up, 2 higher ups up from this person, was supposed to basically kind of tell me what to do next. And I never heard from them. I never spoke to them again. The last time I spoke to them was the day of the incident where they said, Terri, this is not good. And they never spoke to me again. That I'm like, is this normal? And anyone in the corporate world that I knew, I basically pestered. They're like, it's normal for a company that has apparently a very high turnover rate like yours. So no, it's not normal for a functional higher up to just ignore employees like that. So I'm like, okay, I think I'm making the right call. And kind of broke the news to my friends at work and colleagues that I liked. Nobody asked me why. They all knew. Kind of being like, oh man, I'm so jealous. And I gotta tell you, my last big project, I had an opportunity to, do a big monologue. They're like, do you have anything to say? And I legit didn't. And I do a podcast. I'm telling you, I enjoy speaking. I really, really do. And I had nothing to say. I was gobsmacked by that. My 2 people that I was working with a lot, that eventually kind of were told to steer away from my big project. On my last big day of doing this show, they had pulled together all these numbers about how the millions that were made based off shows that I wrote. I wrote over 22 episodes while I was there. I got to work with a lot of amazing talent on and off camera. And it just felt like if I'd stayed, hearing from other people now, if I'd stayed, I was going to continue to be miserable, even if I had gotten that promotion. And it hurt on my last day to, the 2 weeks of me putting in my notice were pretty bad. I was immediately taken out of meetings. I was actually the most senior writer on the team, and they stopped asking me questions. I tried to help, and people were told to just stop talking to me. It was really fucked. It got really, really weird, really, really fast. But, this made a lot of great friends, and other people that had quit were just kind of like, hey, welcome to the club. We're all miserable too, or we were miserable too. But it was cool to kind of hear about all the stuff that I'd done over my 10 months. It actually is quite a lot. And dealt with a lot of drama, a lot of things beyond my pay scale and just my job title. And the day before my last day, spoke with HR, which of course is like, oh, okay, yeah, but we really care and all this stuff. And I really felt like they did, but I feel like very much now it was lip service hearing what I'm hearing. But on my last day, I showed up, did a couple of notes on a script that I made sure to turn in before I left, and then that was it. The person that was supposed to kind of help guide me through this literally watched me pack up my desk, and just didn't acknowledge me. I called up a couple of people that I knew lived close to the office and met them for a couple drinks at a really cool little bar in Allen called the Lion and the Crown, or Lion and Crown, but it's a cute little pub. And just kind of, the second I turned in my badge, I was deactivated from all of my accounts, within 3 minutes. Like, damn, okay. People were trying to contact me through Slack and here's my number. Sorry. But yeah. So I very much feel like I made the right call. And then the first week back, I was actually really hella busy. First week back to being a freelancer was actually insanely busy. It was me making sure that we could get on my husband's insurance and just booking former students and letting newer students know that I'm back to coaching VO. I was luckily enough, the timing worked out to where Uzaki-chan Wants to Hang Out Season 2 came out. And the character that I play, Suki, she's back. And that helped out a lot. And I immediately got a couple of other VO gigs. And so I went, okay. And this time I'm coming at it with a better attitude than I kind of left it at this time last year. You do get into a routine and you get bored, and boredom breeds complacency, where really it's just, no, I'm done with this shit. And this month has actually been probably the most productive month, one of the more productive months I've ever done in VO. And literally, so I hit the ground running. And then on top of that, in the middle of October, I was also, my last day was October 21st. I was also planning my Halloween episode, which I think we finished, but we definitely were in the midst of, trying to figure out some insurance stuff. I sold the car that I got a new car because I got the car specifically to drive to work, which was about 45 minutes, depending on traffic. Sometimes it was an hour and a half one way. And I'm like, well, I'm working remotely now, so I can go back to having a not brand new car. Got myself a little Beetle, that I'm happy with. It's really peppy and cute. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what else to say. Like, I had brunch with Monica, one of my closest friends, Monica, and her fiance Ron, the day after my last day, and I felt horrible because I definitely had a freak out that Saturday morning as we're getting ready to go to brunch and being like, I can't believe how easy it was to leave. It shouldn't have been that easy, and I don't know. I wasn't planning on staying, but it would have been nice if one person who continued to talk about how vital I was to the team said, what can we, or asked just once, is there anything that we can do to keep you? That did not happen. So that just kind of, I don't know. There's just something about, like, I always kind of liken it to, like, being in love with someone, but knowing that you guys have work to do. So saying, hey, I think we should take a break and maybe reevaluate, blah, blah, blah. And in the middle of still talking, the other party decides to be like, you know what? Fuck you. I hate you anyway. Bye. Like, damn. You don't have to really prove how wrong we were for each other so fucking quickly, but thank you for not wasting my fucking time. And guys, I gotta say, like, there's, even today, like, I'm getting, messages from other people, that still work there, and I gotta say, made the right call. Really very much made the right call. There's numerously insanely talented people that I got to work with that I really hope somewhere down the line I get to work with again. I don't know when or how, but life is funny that way. And then, like I said, in the meantime, I'm done a couple of freelance writing gigs, a little quick bursts of copy, and I had some well-meaning friends be like, okay, here's what you need to do. I'm like, I just got out of a giant relationship, quit trying to get me to commit to another marriage. Yeah, I'm enjoying it. I really, really am. It's nice to be back in the booth pretty consistently and writing things that are actually fun again. Which I said, there were a lot of great moments and some extremely talented people that I got to work with. And hopefully that will happen more. And then I get to see those people again. But also, it has been nice to see some people that I just hadn't really gotten to see in the last year. And, okay, a really sad moment where, just personally, it was about like 2 weeks into being freelance again. Stephen and I were just having a dinner. And I said something like stupid, like a little like joke. And he went, there's my wife. And I like burst into tears, kind of like what I'm doing right now. And I said, where did I go? And he went, I don't know, but there you are. And yeah, I kind of disappeared for a while there. I gotta tell you, I was contemplating listening to the last normal episode of Obscure Chatter that I did, not the Halloween episode, which was the last one. But I didn't want to hear it. There are like certain episodes of even that anime show where I know I cannot hear them again. Or interviews that I've done, or shows, bits of like actual media where, you know, I've recorded characters I've done that I know I can't revisit because it's too hard. There's partially probably imposter syndrome working in there, but also just, I remember where I was, at the time of recording something. And, I want to say in the last episode, I didn't want to admit that I was already done. But, yeah, I didn't realize this, but I just kind of, Stephen and I were fine, but I did very much start becoming like the really always angry person that never really let work go. even if I would like turn off my, notifications and all that stuff, I just really wouldn't let stuff go. But, yeah, I gotta say that last day very much kind of clinched it, but then it was those, it's been a month now, a little more than a month, a couple days, a month and a couple days, and my dog is being like more chipper. I'm like, oh my God, I was bumming the shit out of my dog. What do you do with that realization, knowing that you were affecting so many people around you, and not knowing it? But I don't know. There was just this vibe constantly of like, hey, so I'm wildly unhappy. And people being like, yeah, well, that's working in this industry. And to where like, actually, yeah, because this is Thanksgiving weekend. I remember months in advance being like, whoa, so a bunch of us have to work on Black Friday. That's typically a day that most of us are off, and it's a paid holiday according to the company. And being made to feel like shit for bringing that up. Like, holy shit, this is some Scrooge shit. Which, no thank you. I don't know, you guys, but it really, really kind of further solidified that first week being gone. Another employee that I got very close to, they quit. And was kind of told that they were told how they were going to spin the story of them quitting. And it's pretty messed up. So again, just like, wow. And then other people moving to other teams and being happier and all this stuff. It's wild. It's wild. Where in hindsight, you're like, hey, so I did all this research before I took this job, and Glassdoor's review of the company was pretty spot fucking on. Where you're like, well, maybe things have gotten better. And that's really just you seeing the money and going, I'm taking this job. I think I'm taking this job regardless of whether or not I'm wildly unhappy. And that's bananas. And that kind of, there was a moment where, I don't know, like, you remember how much fun it is to be creative. Yes, paying bills is also great. And those do not always go hand in hand. So for a while there, it worked. I think that I needed to do it because I am attacking stuff in a different way. And I think that's just because I know a few things that I wouldn't have known if I didn't work in the corporate world. I will say also that there was just a moment, when you're doing something that just doesn't require a lot of forethought, like showering is when you typically get a lot of ideas. But I was folding laundry, and I just stopped folding laundry and kind of told myself, like, now I don't have to wonder. Because you always wonder as a freelancer or a contractor or someone who is living gig to gig, like, hey, what if I just, did the 9-to-5 grind? And you always kind of put that in your back, in the back of your mind, as long as you're busy and as long as you're happy and getting paid what you're worth. I will say that has been a big thing. It's like, oh, well, now that you're back, I'm like, all right, now that I'm back doesn't mean I'm taking fucking any job. That's a ridiculous rate. No, that's actually happened quite a lot. It's just very, very interesting that had to happen to kind of put me in just a different headspace this time around. But yeah, I'm pretty happy. It's still weird. It's still really weird. It feels like this year almost kind of didn't happen. 'Cause you make plans, all that, but yeah, I'm saying sitting around Thanksgiving table with my father-in-law, my husband, and my father-in-law's friend. We've never done the what are you grateful for Thanksgiving, which I'm grateful for that. But just sitting there kind of shooting the shit. I explained a little bit to, an 88-year-old, and I don't know how old Ed's friend was. But she's up there, like 70s, I think. But just explaining some of the stuff that went on and them being like, no. And it's interesting to hear just people that have been around a lot longer than you being like, no, glad you're out of there. Encouraging, but afterward, coming home, having a pumpkin cider that I was not fond of. I'm not a cider person. I really thought it was a beer until I took a sip. But, that didn't stop me from drinking the whole thing. I'm not wasteful. And asking Stephen, what are you thankful for? And his answer I'll leave to him. And then him asking, what are you thankful for? It's like, I'm thankful for my home. I'm thankful for having someone to share my home with that I don't feel inauthentic with. Like, I felt for a while there that I was kind of letting the corporate world make me feel like I needed to start dressing a little bit better. I will say, in a point to the corporate world, they never shit on me for having green hair. I was like, hey, do I need to change my hair? No, I wore a hoodie every day. I had green hair. I wore Chucks more often than anything else, and my desk was covered in nerd memorabilia. Lots of books, my Keanu candle, lots of toys. Fucci really freaked out a lot of people. That was the one thing they're like, I really don't like that one. I'm like, you know what? If I took everything else off my desk, Fucci and Keanu would be the things to stay. So, but, woo! Guys, I gotta tell you, I'm thankful that I'm out of there. I really am. But I'm also thankful that I had the experience, hindsight, 2020, blah, blah, blah. But, yeah, it's been bananas. And moving forward, I'm optimistic because how can you not be? Jumping from lily pad to lily pad, I wouldn't say that I'm back where I used to be. This is different. This is different this time around. Who knows what I'm going to be doing next year, aside from hopefully more obscure chatter. And yeah, I got to say, I am lucky that my partner also works full time and that I was able to just quit. That took some convincing for me because, again, you look back and you think, wow, I can start contributing more frequently and more to the partnership and to our retirement and all of that. It really sucked to let that go. Obviously, it sucked to let the money go. But, money is not everything. And that does seem very, 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 very childish to some people to say. But honestly, running the numbers and everything, it's like, all right, for the first couple of months back, let's cut back on spending. We readjusted our budget, and literally nothing other than us not eating out like 3 times a week. Like, nothing really changed. I'm still reading way too many books. It's not a problem. I have an addiction, sure, but I love reading. And I get back to possibly finishing my second book sometime in the next millennia. Promise you, it's coming. And I've gotten to, since then, I've met new voiceover students, and I've gotten to reach back out to some of my students that I had to let down toward the end of last year. Be like, hey, so I'm doing this and I can't. It's nice to see just how much students have grown in the past year, and meeting new people. For those of you interested, yes, I am still taking on VO students, but it has to work around everything else. And sometimes I just say no. It's kind of, you're hearing this clicking. It's my giant Las Vegas tumbler here. Filled with water, I promise. God, can you imagine? This giant clear container being filled with vodka instead. I mean, it's not the worst idea I've ever had, but yeah. And also just kind of seeing, like, catching up with friends that I was still talking to, but, like Monica, she's like, oh my God, we can hang out during the week again. Like, yes, woo! I do miss that. I can actually get my nails done during the week instead of on Saturday morning. Oh my God. It's little things, but the main thing is being able to catch up with people. And that's been just banana pants to see how much people have grown in the 10 plus months that I've been gone. And I'm just grateful. Honestly, I had planned on doing this whole episode tied around this movie. And I don't know if I want to ruin that by continuing to talk. And I have other bullet points that I wanted to address, but that might be the way to kind of like start circling around. I was going to say circling the drain or circling the wagons. I don't know if any of those are what I was going for. So maybe it is time to go. But I'm going to cut this early. This movie's got another 50 minutes in it. And I'm just, no, I wanted to give you guys a heads up. I really, really did. Because I had posted about it on social media. And I definitely said a story was coming. And I'm pretty sure I was pretty thorough as I can be without, violating anything major. And even then, I'm sure I'm going to be in my head about what I did talk about. But yeah, I was considering taking December off, but I don't know if I'm going to take any months off now. I used to do that with that anime show. We took off November and December, and I believe we took off December and January last year, but we are going to have a December episode, and I do want to take some holiday questions and all of that like I did last year, so look out for that coming soon. Again, still on Twitter, on Hive Social. Please follow me, Terri Doty, Instagram, TikTok, all those things. And there's going to be more social media coming because I actually have time for it now in between all these lovely little gigs that I am so, so grateful to have and hope to continue to have. Just got to do the work. Another thing that I'm thankful for, talked about how Obscure Chatter has been going on for over 3 years. I'm thankful for you. You listening, you that continue to contribute little cups of coffee via Ko-Fi and all of that stuff, which we still have going. But just you guys listening is a reward enough. If you're enjoying Obscure Chatter, please let me know with a kind review on whatever, platform you're listening to this on. And I really hope that your holiday season is starting off right and that, you know that I'm grateful for you. So, until next time, read good shit, watch good shit, and just don't be a shit. It truly is that simple. Later, guys.